Hey everyone, Shane here with etrailer.com. Today I have a 2010 Cadillac SRX. I'm going to walk through how to install Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit. Diode wiring kit is going to be one of the 5 main components for your vehicle. What it's going to do is going to allow the motorhome signals to transfer back to the factory lights on the vehicle. Nice thing about diodes is once they're installed, you don't really have anything to do but to plug in your cord on the front of the vehicle. Diodes hook to factory wiring behind each taillight, and what they do is protect the factory wiring on the vehicle from any backfeed from the motorhome. So if there's a problem with the motorhome wiring, if it sends something through that wire, the diode's going to stop it from going to the factory wiring on the vehicle and damaging it. Again, this is going to work for all the signals, like your towing a trailer, brake lights, your running lights, turn signals. As you can see here, we have our motorhome turn signal on. We're getting that same signal through our factory light on our vehicle. This is going to come with everything you need to get it installed. Diodes, 6-pole plug, as well as your umbilical to go from the front of the car to the motorhome. If you have a setup already and you're just wanting to put diodes on here, there are other kits available that don't come with the umbilical cord and also don't come with a 6-pole plug. You can find those different options here at eTrailer. There are also other options as far as lights for the vehicle. Although I think this is probably the best way to go. The other options are you have magnetic lights, which you have to find somewhere to put them. A lot of vehicles nowadays have plastic, so them being magnetic, it's hard to install them on the car or to get them to stick to the car. And you really don't see magnetic lights too much anymore being used because of the diode kits. With magnetic lights, you have to run a cable each time you put them on up to the front of the vehicle, hook it to the motorhome. When you're done, you've got to find somewhere to store all that. So again, diodes is probably the way I would go if I was looking for options for hauling a vehicle. As far as the installation process, it's not too difficult. I would recommend doing this when you install your base plate and your braking system and you have the fascia off. You're going to run the wires from the front of the vehicle back to the back. You got to find a good way to route them so they're not against anything hot or moving, so they don't get damaged. You're going to route them up behind the bumper, locate the factory wiring for your brake signal and for your running light signal. You'll splice into the wires, connect the diodes into them, run 2 wires over to the passenger side to give you your brake and turn signal on your passenger side as well as your running light signal. If this is something you may not have the time or space to do, you can always check out our dealer locator, find someone near you that is able to put it on. If you're wanting to give it a try, I promise you it's not that difficult. You can do it in your garage or your driveway with a few simple tools. Follow along with me now and I'll walk you through how to do it. To start your installation, I recommend taking some of your wire here, zip tying it to where you're going to be putting your 6-pole plug. The rest of it we need to route to the back of the vehicle. What I did is ran right across the back of the base plate here. I went up over some factory wiring. Up in there, there's also a brace on the frame or on the body of the vehicle. Kind of went through that. I went up around that hard line. You have your sway bar there, so you want to make sure you're not touching it because that moves. I kind of looped it through these hard lines to keep it up against the firewall of the vehicle. These hard lines run from here all the way back to the back axle. So I just ran it along, zip tied it along the way to hold it up till we get to the back axle. I went up over the top because none of this moves. Up over the top. Came down right here in this corner. We have our exhaust, so we need to stay away from it. Went right into this corner and then over top of this wiring. Now what we'll do is we'll go up top, we'll remove our tail light, put a pull wire down, which will come out right over here, and we can take this and pull it up and get it tied into our factory wiring. To remove your tail light, first you need to remove this plastic panel, a little push pin fastener up here in the corner. Pull that out, pop this out, Phillips screwdriver, you're going to bolt here and bolt here. We're going to take our tail light, pull straight back on it. That. We'll disconnect our plugs, push down the tab. We'll set our tail light aside. We're going to take the large green plug and this one, and if there's tape on it, you need to strip it back. Be careful if you're cutting it so you don't nick the wires. Looks like somebody's been in this vehicle already, so then we need to determine which wires we're going to be using. We're going to be using the brake light signal and the running light signal. So it looks like we're just going to be using the small black plug here, or the middle size black plug. Purple wire is going to be our running light signal. Yellow wire is going to be our brake and turn signal. For our passenger side, this brown wire with a white stripe is going to be our running light signal. Green wire is going to be for our brake and turn signal. Take all 4 of the wires, tape them onto the end of your pull wire. Take our white wire. It's going to be a ground, so we need to determine where we're going to ground it. Pretty much ground it anywhere in here, as long as it's on the body of the vehicle. I think I'm going to ground it right underneath that plug there. Add on your ring terminal once you get it stripped back. Take the self-tapping screw that comes in the kit, just like that. Take the green wire, push it off to the side. We're going to be working with the yellow and brown wire. We're going to take our factory wiring. Remember, yellow wire was our brake and turn signal. We're going to cut that wire. Strip back both ends. Take one of your diodes. Spade connector on each one of the wires. Diode is going to have an in and an out. The out, single side, is going to go towards the light. The other one can go on either one of these 2 male spades that are left. We're going to take our yellow wire from our kit, strip it back, spade connector, put it on the other male spade on your diode. That's going to give us our brake and turn signal through our factory light. Next, we'll go to the running light signal, which is going to be a purple wire. You got a diode that has a yellow connector on it. We're going to take the 2 blue ones right now. Spade connector on each one. Single out towards the light. We're We're going to take our brown wire, cut it, except we're going to hold on to that extra wire that we cut off. This time we're going to strip back both ends, or each end of each wire. We're going to put these two together. Put on the yellow spade connector. Put that on the other spade on your diode. That's going to give us our jumper wire for a running light signal on our passenger side. From here, we can reinstall our tail light. Take your diode on the back side, there's some double-sided tape. Stick one here and one here. And then take your brown and green wire, make sure it's running down at the bottom of the light here before you reinstall the light. You can take a plastic trim panel tool, if you have one, and just work the brown and green wire across, kind of sticking it under this rubber seal, getting that tucked back behind that fascia. The only difference between our passenger side and our driver's side is we're going to have a single brown wire on our passenger side. We're not going to have a ground wire. I will recommend, since where we place these on the taillight on the driver's side, we're going to do that on the passenger side as well. You're going to have to extend the brown wire. The extra wire that you cut off, yellow or the white one, it doesn't really matter. It's going to come with a butt connector. Extend that a little bit so it gives you some extra length. I happen to have some extra brown wire laying around here. And then of course, adding on your diodes and your spade connector is going to be the same way as driver's side. Now we'll go ahead and get our diodes put on our taillight, plug back in, or taillight reinstalled. So now we're going to take our 6-pole plug, strip back the wires at the front of the vehicle. We're going to temporarily hook them up to our plug so that we can test everything out to make sure it's working correctly. You can use your motorhome with your umbilical, hook it in, and test everything with your motorhome. We are going to be using a box that simulates being hooked up to the motorhome because our motorhome is actually getting some other stuff installed on it at the moment. On the back of the plug, everything's going to be marked where it goes. We can start with our ground, and we don't want to take these screws all the way out because they are very small. Running light signal, and of course we have our left turn and right turn. So you'll notice a couple more openings in this red wire hanging here. On the back of your plug, this is going to be a charge line. I'm going to be installing that later. It's going to connect right here to this middle pin. Now we'll test everything out. Tail lights, left turn, brake lights, right turn. Once you've tested everything out, go ahead and remove your plug. Install any other components that you're going to be installing. For instance, the charge line, as I mentioned earlier, if you're going to be putting one on, it's a lot easier to do it while the fascia is off. And you're ready to go. Once you get your fascia installed, you're going to trim it out, obviously, around all your components. And you're ready to hook up to your RV and hit the road. It's going to do it for a look at installation of Roadmaster's Diode wiring kit on a 2010 Cadillac SRX.